All right, and we're live. Welcome everyone to Breaking the Seal Part 3, the capstone of, we'll call it the trilogy, I guess. We're super excited to have everyone who's out there watching. We've done some great blends in the past with Penelope, and I think this third one's going to be even better. We're going to be blending it together in real time versus the past ones. But before we start off, Danny, why don't you just introduce yourself and let the folks at home know a little bit about Penelope Bourbon?
Yeah, I'm Danny Polisi, co-founder of Penelope Bourbon. What else is there to say?
So for those of you guys who don't know, Penelope has been really creating waves in the marketplace lately. Their blends have been phenomenal. Their rosé cask has been turning heads, and I think they have some more good things in the pipeline too. So we're excited to be working with them today. And Blake, why don't welcome first of all, and would you like to introduce yourself and let the good folks at home know about Seelbach?
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, I'm Blake from Seelbach and Bourbonr. If you're watching this, you've probably seen me and the Breaking guys or me and the Penelope guys on a round table or live tasting before. But, we're an online retail shop for craft spirits and, always love working with Penelope. And let's see, this is number 3 on Breaking the Seal. So pretty exciting stuff. And they probably give us a little more leeway than they should. Yeah, I'm sure we make their lives difficult with some of the blends and stuff we come up with, but it's always fun and really enjoy doing this. So thanks for having me.
We love doing this with you guys. I mean, we really do. We're excited for this part 3, I guess.
I think we're going to make this one as difficult and exciting as we can, right?
What's up, guys? I made it.
Exactly. How's it going, Mike?
We
just did some intros, but before we dive in, Nick, you just want to remind everyone about Breaking Bourbon?
Yeah. So, hey, for those that don't know us, Breaking Bourbon, breakingbourbon.com, your source for everything bourbon reviews. We are the site that when you're at the liquor store and you're not sure what's on the shelf, if you should buy it, try it, if it's for you or not, look us up. You'll find us. We'll give our best advice that we can with our reviews. Want to know what's coming out? Check out our release calendar. We update that constantly. And of course, follow us on all the socials at Breaking Bourbon.
Awesome. Thanks. So a recap for those watching. This is the third blend that Breaking Bourbon and Seelbach is doing with Penelope. We're super excited. The first 2 blends, Breaking the Seal and then Breaking the Seal Part 2, we had a lot of fun with. We each, as a recap, individually took away some samples, decided what the best wheat barrel was, the best rye barrel was, the best corn barrel. Then between the 4 of us, Nick, Eric, and Jordan, and Blake, came up with our own individual blends and then did a little blend face-off. So I think that was super fun. I think we came up with 2 really good blends. I think whoever created those blends is just a
He's no longer with the company, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I think
he's been let go.
Yeah, exactly. So
neither here nor there.
That was fun. But what we're doing this time around is we are going to be doing some live time blending. So we all have the same samples. We're going to be coming up with some blends on the fly together, tasting them as we go, talking about them, and then at the end of this live stream, we'll have the blend that we want, and then remind the folks at home, Danny or Mike, what we're going to be doing with that blend once we come up with it.
Yeah, we're going to be throwing this blend into a toasted barrel. So a new oak char and toasted barrel, and we'll give it a finish. We'll see how long it takes to finish it too.
Toasty finish.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, well, Mike and Danny, how do you want to start this off? What's the best way for us to do this?
Danny, I'll defer to you. I'm
Yeah.
the right man in.
I mean, I think it'd be interesting. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the individual mash bills. There's 3 samples. There's a 21% rye, 45% wheat, and 99% corn. They're all MGP mash bills. The corn and the 21 rye are 5-year bourbons, and the wheat is a 4-year bourbon.
So let's see. This must be the corn then, right here. Danny, I don't know if you can see that or not.
367.
367, right?
367 is the 99 corn. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We got
Okay.
the right box. Okay.
And then I got the 45 wheat and the 21 rye here.
Yeah. So you played with these blends a little on your own, right? Or this is the first time you're diving into
I
it?
think we're diving in this blind together
nice.
so that we
Speed
don't
blending.
bias anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little
So in the
speed
past,
blending. I
we've
like
done
that.
blind. We've been tasting samples blind, right? And then so now you know the mash bills, and you can blend knowing them.
So I think this is really fun though too, because it does. I think Mike just made the comment speed blending, and it's about pretty close, right? I think between the four of us and well, Mike and Danny too, the six of us, it's a good way to say, all right, your palate has so much it can drink, so much it can take. Let's come up with the best blend quickly, right? And I think sometimes it's what's your gut instincts say, and that goes a long way. I think in times past, all of us have agonized over the blends we submitted. And I think we'll probably come up with just as good, if not better, of a winning formula by putting the pressure on us to knock it out pretty quick.
And we notice sometimes when you look at the numbers too much, it kind of takes away from what you're doing. If you just go by, just kind of feel it and taste it, and go from there, it works a little better.
Yeah, so everyone's trying these for the first time then, you too, Blake, Eric?
Yep, I haven't cracked them yet.
That's going to be fun.
Super fun. So while we're tasting through these, Dan or Mike, do you guys want to talk about any of your latest products and let the folks at home know your latest barrel proof batch and maybe a little bit about the rosé cask and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, so we released batch 7. That was heck. I mean, it's like been a baby boom over here. We've got so many kids now. I don't even know. I didn't even know what day it was really. But we released batch 7 recently. That was about a month and a half ago. So kind of midsummer, mid-July, early July, and so now we're gearing up. We're getting ready to do batch 8. It's our first time doing a bottling run with Bardstown Bourbon Company, which is exciting. They got a beautiful facility over there. So we're going to be, probably, I think we're running batch 8 the first week of September. And so that's kind of one of the big things we're honed in on right now from a product perspective. But then that's kind of like what we're doing out of our facility in New Jersey. We've really doubled down on these toasted barrels. So if we had Private Select, which is kind of our custom blends. And, Private Select is going to be seasonal. I think we're probably, we'll bring it back at some point next year. We're even throwing around different ideas. Maybe it would be a rye whiskey Private Select batch because we do have some good rye whiskey barrels that we think could be a good fit for it. But then, for us, it's really been toasted. And I think partly because Danny and I are we just love the flavor profile from toasted barrels right now. And honestly, and for us, a lot of it's exploratory too. So we're seeing what's happening across. It's really a series. It's called the Toasted Series. And on the back label, and we're actually going to make some iterations to it. We're going to put it on the front label. We're exploring what all these different char and toasts from these new oak barrels, the impact that it has on the, kind of our core barrel strength blend. And so it's been kind of a huge focus of ours. And I don't know, Danny, I know you're tinkering with some R&D projects as well over there.
Yeah. Oh man, we're doing a couple, I guess 2 weeks ago, we just dumped and blended some Vino de Naranja. Or we dumped our bourbon blend and then put it into some Vino de Naranja barrels, which is an orange Spanish wine. It's like a sweet it's a sweet wine. So it's going to impart those flavors on it. We're excited to see where that goes. It's been 3 weeks pulling samples already. It's tracking really well. Last week we were at the farm and we teamed up with a farm locally in New Jersey, and we're doing a honey barrel project. So we took some freshly dumped barrels of ours, brought them over to a local farm because we didn't want to deal with the sticky honey in our place.
I didn't want ants everywhere.
Yeah.
I could have started an ant business if we did that in-house.
And we filled the barrels with honey, and we're just going to let that sit for a couple months and then dump the honey out and then put our bourbon in there and see what it does.
That's awesome. And then will the farmer sell the honey?
Yeah. So he actually runs a cidery as well. So he's going to use some of the honey. He wants to use the honey in his ciders, which is kind of cool too.
Very cool.
Liquor brands kind of teaming up, and then they have a large farm, and they they're really big on sustainability and kind of creating this this culture where you integrate urban bee farmers and rural bee farmers and kind of create this bee farming collective. So everybody can kind of
with some whiskey guys.
Yeah, be a part of this big supply chain. It's interesting what they're doing over there.
Yeah, no, we're excited about that. It's really just an R&D. I think how many we're doing? 6 barrels, 7 barrels of it.
Yeah.
To start, and then if it's good, we'll look to procure some more honey and do it a little bit bigger the following year. But yeah, it was funny. I remember I called up the honey provider, and I was like, "Do you guys have like wholesale pricing?" And they sent me like a one sheeter, and it was like $16 retail, $13 for like a wholesale price. I was like, I'm actually looking. I need like 1,000 gallons of it. They were like, "What?"
The bigger.
Like, yeah, I'll just ship you guys a tote. Just put it all in a big stainless steel tote.
They're like, we're gonna need some more bees.
Yeah,
We need a bigger tote.
thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie, Mike. That's awesome.
Put those bees to work.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody get a chance to drink through those wheat, rye, and corn samples.
Yeah, what order do you guys have them in? I've got mine in corn, wheat, and rye order right now.
That's what I have too.
Maybe because we stick and then we're going to blend too, so we're kind of referring similarly as we go forward.
Done.
What are you guys getting on the corn? How are you feeling that as you sip it?
No need, guys. I think I already got the winning blend. I think I got this locked in. We're good.
I thought that corn was good. I like
The
that
corn was
man.
fantastic, and
corn's really good.
I did this the other night with Danny, and I think the corn shocked everybody how good it was. And I don't think anybody, we had it blind in that one, and nobody picked the corn whiskey to be the corn whiskey. Everyone's like, "Oh, that's got to be the wheated, or that's got to be the rye," and it's like, yeah, that's 99% corn.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I'm actually getting a lot of spice on it.
Yeah.
It's picking up in the mid palate. It's rolling into the finish. It's reasonably strong spice. I agree. I wouldn't have guessed that was 99% corn bourbon if I, just based on the flavor. I think that's been true in the past too. I feel like I've been surprised by the one that's 99% corn the most of these previous rounds of doing this with you guys.
We tried to pick something that was, in outside the normal realm of their 99 corn.
Yeah.
Where it's just like you definitely know it's corn. This one had a little bit of that spiciness to it, which kind of took us, kind of for surprise. Not in a bad way, in a good way. So we thought it could be a good blending agent.
Yeah, I agree.
Has anybody played around with any blends just yet, or is that just me?
I think that's just you. I was still just drinking each one individually.
Yeah, just shooting the shit.
I'll go ahead and tell everyone. I think we can eliminate a third.
Yeah.
Did you just try that, Blake?
I tried that one. I blended up a couple, and
You just blend them up
Yeah.
in real time right now?
it's like I've got a lot of glasses over here. I look like a mad scientist right now with my setup. But yeah, it was good. The one I will throw out that I think is pretty good. It was the, let's see. So it was 20 mLs of the 21% rye, 15 mLs of the corn, and 5 mLs of the wheat. So I'm not sure what that percentage breakdown is. So that's a total of, let's see, 40 mLs. I'll let somebody else do the math on that one, but I was just doing it on my beaker to try to make it easy. But that one was pretty good, actually.
Well, and I got you, Blake. All right, so that one actually, so with the 20 rye, 15 corn, 5 wheat, from a ML perspective, that gives you a final mash of 81% corn, 11% rye, 6% wheat, 3% malt.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Jordan, I think you're muted.
I said that doesn't surprise me. So that wheat is a little sharp and a little overpowering. So you just need a little to go a long way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm getting even almost a banana flavor on the wheat. It's got something unique going on with it in the mid palate.
I think the interesting part about this whole thing as well is, you know, we're blending. It's going to be really good, and we want to get the best blend. But you also got to think about it in that toasted barrel. Like, you don't want it to be overly like sweet or some caramel notes or oaky, because it's going to pick a lot of that up with the toasted barrel. So I think it's definitely interesting to. That little caveat in here is like, okay, well, we want something that's fantastic in the blend, but also will kind of handle that toasted really well too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Danny, why don't you give like some perspective on what you're seeing from what the impact of the toast you think will do? You know, assuming it's a lower char, say it's like a 1 or 2 char and then like a heavy toast.
Yeah, so like the lower chars with the heavy toast are going to give you some of those butterscotch notes, those vanilla notes. You're going to have less of that kind of tobacco-y type of finish. And the lower chars are going to be a longer finish, so you're going to want to keep them in longer because you want to get that juice into that wood so it touches that toasted depth, because the char is very surface. So the char will impart its flavor right away once you put that juice in that barrel. But the toast is the magic, where you let that sit and let that juice get into that wood, and then that's when you get those butterscotch vanilla notes. So I don't know. I mean, we've seen you don't necessarily have to go like for a sweeter blend on the lower chars. You know, some like kind of you take like a spicy, not spicy, but a little bit of a bolder blend, put it in a lower char, then you get those sweet vanilla butterscotch notes, which kind of balance that out. But like when we put sweeter blends into the higher chars, then you get the darker notes that kind of balance out those sweeter flavors in the blend.
Yep.
That's what we're starting to see.
And Eric, when you do these blends, what are you looking for?
The first two we did were a little more. I don't know. How would you guys describe the first two blends? They're punchy. Some of them. I mean, they gave a lot of impact when you were drinking them. So this time, I'm kind of thinking about doing something a little bit different. I really like where the wheat's going with this one, and I find the other two being a little spicy. So I'm kind of, in my head, I'm trying to think about using the wheat as kind of the main thing, and then playing around with the spice level off the other two.
You know, I'm just looking at the first two Breaking the Seals we did. So for Breaking the Seal number 1, we ended up with a breakdown of 5% corn, 90% rye, 5% wheat bourbon. And
Wow.
for Breaking the Seal Part 2, it was 16.5% corn, 16.5% rye, and 67% wheat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think though too, with those other, just like with the other two, same with this one here, we're dealing with barrels that have a lot of personality each individually. So I don't know that ultimately the grains contribute to the flavor, but at the end of the day, I feel like they're deviating maybe from the norm. The corn especially deviates from, I guess I'd say, the expectation of what a 99% corn bourbon would taste like. You know, the other thing I think too, as far as just the approach to blending, and I think we got to start running through some together here and see where we land, but I feel like trying heavy on each one just to see what that is like, you know, because I think we were surprised by, I didn't even try going heavy on the one we went heavy on last time in pre-blending before we went live. And then it surprisingly ended up being the one that was the best to go heavy on, hands down. And I feel like it could surprise us, with what ends up, how they interact with one another. We might be surprised. I mean, like the rye, for example, it's very different than the other two, the 21% rye. It's kind of light up front, it tapers in, and then I'm getting more like leather on the back end. Definitely some different flavors. I'm not sure how that's going to interact with these other two spicy ones. So I feel almost like if we say, look, let's try a blend that's heavy in each one and light in the other two to start, and just see where those interactions go, and then see where we want to move from there. That'd be my approach.
Yeah. After that Breaking the Seal Part 2, I was like, whatever I thought was directionally the way to go, I'm like, just do the opposite.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like when I used to take tests in high school, I used to be like, is it answer A? And I'm like, it's got to be D then. You just got to go the opposite.
So you mentioned something that I picked up when we were picking these barrels, is that they're not following a traditional track that you would expect from these mash bills. And there's certain points that are very unique to them, I think. And when you put them together, you're going to get this blend, and we got to like focus on the core of it. And then I relate the toasted barrels to, like, I don't know if you were a kid and you had this thing and you used to go get the rocks, and you put all your rocks in there, and then you leave it and it tumbles the rocks for a little while, and then they come out all shiny and like polished.
And by a little while, you mean like 2-3 weeks, but yes.
I have one going in my garage right now. I will tell you, when you open the garage at night, the garage door, and it's dark and you hear that thing, it scares you. You got to remember it's there.
Wait, you really have one? Wow.
Hey,
so
look,
I look at these.
Love them. I will tell you that it is a perfect gift for an 8-year-old.
I look at these mash bills like that. Like, we're gonna blend them together, and there's a lot of really good qualities inside of them. And when we put them in that toasted barrel, it's just going to smooth everything out and kind of like come out nice and shiny and tasty.
Yeah. What do you guys think about doing a 50, 25, 25, just making each one the 50 and the other two the 25, and see what those three taste like? And could just do it by part, 4 parts to 2 and 2, or 2 parts to 1 and 1, basically.
Yeah, we can give that a go. I actually just did a 75, 12 and a half, 12 and a half with all of them to see if one really jumped out.
I'm going to go 2 corn, 1 wheat, 1 rye.
I do like having a more predominant corn or rye. I think both those are interesting, the way it leads the whiskey down. I will say making the wheat the predominant one, just from these little sips that I made, I don't see it getting any better if I toss in a higher sample blend. And I think that's one of the interesting things, too, to talk about for those folks listening at home. So we've talked about this in the past Breaking the Seal videos, but if you've never blended bourbon before, so we're doing fresh samples from fresh barrels, right? You definitely don't need to do that. So find 3, it could be 3 of your favorite bottles, and you can start trying different blends. Or more specifically, you could take, say, a wheated bourbon, a rye bourbon, or a wheat whiskey, and then a straight rye. And then if you need something, if you need a corn whiskey, get a bottle of mellow corn, which is usually readily available and cheap. You can start doing your own blends to see how these things turn out at home. And it's pretty fun. So you can do this pretty inexpensively. And you get a good little taste of what Danny and Mike go through on a daily basis when they're trying to come up with their blends. And it's really fun. You might actually realize, hey, I have 3 bottles at home. They're just, but I'm keeping them around. But when I blend them together in a certain percentage, I love them, right? And it's a great way to just make your collection go even farther and customize it and really make it your own.
And I think for the people at home, so I know we keep saying corn whiskey. So it's a 99% corn mash bill bourbon. So it is 3 bourbons with different bourbon mash bills. So it's going to be a bourbon at the end. It just happens to be, a very high percentage of corn in one, which is also kind of somewhat unusual. You don't typically see that much corn. You typically have 3 grains. Rye is the most, common secondary. Wheat is second to that. Usually malted barley as well. So.
Yeah, and I think for us, we've talked about this before, but these are the same 3 mash bills that we started with when we first went to MGP, and we were just two chuckleheads, two novices kind of going at this, we were like, Danny loved this 99 corn. And I think MGP was like under their breath being like, dude, it's a blending bourbon. He was ready to bottle that 2-year 99 corn right out of the gate. And we started really blending them together with the 45 wheat, which also Danny liked. And then I really liked the 21 rye. I think kind of unbeknownst to us at the time is that it is a little bit of a different flavor profile than it's got you get that MGP, you get those notes that are in there, but it's got a little nuance to it. It's a little bit different. And I think that's in part what's been fun for us is we've just really been exploring these 3 mashes across kind of different finishes or different blend percentages and different ages and different cooperages. And, I think that's the beauty of bourbon is like we've had a lot of batches using these same 3 mash bills and it's gone in many different directions.
You guys have traditionally stuck to, as we're blending and tasting through, you guys have traditionally stuck to MGP. Have you ever thought of looking outside that portfolio of bourbons or sticking with those and then just adding in another random barrel from a different distillery?
Yeah, I mean, we're meeting, like we're going down to Kentucky for the run at Bardstown. So we're gonna meet with some folks. We'll it's always good to look and see what's out there. The prices are just everything's going up, so it's just you got to keep your eyes open. We are starting to look at new fills is the big thing for us too right now. I mean, we're already behind the 8 ball in that category, so a big push for us right now is new fills for sure. And yeah, I mean, I told Danny, like, we've got a DSP. I'm like, let's just start trying it. I mean, we might look, we're not going to do it right the first time, but I think for us, Danny's rolling his eyes. I'm just going to keep peppering this in there. Eventually we're going to start doing it. I'm just going to keep playing it. Look, I got to get my little 2 cents in here. So Danny just keeps reminding him, but no, I do think probably like, next year we'll start with like a small still and just learn the basics, right? And run a couple small batches and, hey, look, it's worth trying at the very least. And if you could do it without making a massive capital expenditures out of it, and just to see if you're on the right track and that's something you want to go down. But I think starting there, starting those test projects in 2022 is a big goal for us.
Which that's kind of the hard thing too, right? Like you're trying to plan out and project and forecast, and it gets harder and harder because how many states are you in now? Is it like
we're launching in Kentucky and Maryland.
Okay.
At the end of this month, and that's the last 2 markets for this year. But when we cap out those 2 states, that's 20 markets.
20 markets. That's awesome.
Wow.
That's great.
Yeah. Which in forecasting for 20 markets for 10 years down the road always gets fun. It's like, hey, we want this source, but if 20 markets is 40 markets in 5 years, the projections look a whole lot different. But it's always cool to watch and see how everybody kind of adjusts to those dynamics.
Yeah, and now I mean, even a great example of this is like Danny and I had to really true up what our definition of R&D is and what's a limited release. Like, so if you like the Honey Project's a great example. Like 6 barrels, you can't even get product out to every market with that. And so we're even how we look at R&D is more going towards like 2 barrels, maybe 3 barrels max. And then you have a limited release, which you can put product out into every market. But even little things like that, I mean, we're kind of just figuring it out as we go. But yeah, I mean, forecasting out 4 years, that's like, I don't even know what I'm doing next weekend.
So just on a high level, it's interesting, Mike, because you guys are saying, hey, we're segmenting obviously our standard releases, but then at that next level is limited. At the next level up is the R&D type of releases, which obviously there's got to be an expectation from consumers. Even doing 3 or 4 barrels, that's still relatively speaking a pretty substantial investment in a project that may or may not pan out very well, right? I mean, yeah. I think sometimes it's hard. People don't see or recognize the significance of something like that. But, even a very, very small release takes a lot of investment and time from you guys. And certainly you guys have shared that, with us as we've got to know you over the years. And that's been interesting to, see it on the ground level and see what you guys are going through in terms of thinking through doing these new things and expanding and so forth.
Yeah. And thanks, Donnie. I appreciate it. He's a great customer of ours out in Nebraska. No, I appreciate it, man. I think, yeah, I mean, that's been part of the fun. I think, look, I think we enjoy this. Like we're having fun with it. I think that's the most important thing. I think if it was like, I think that's what's keeping this motivation going and keeping the drive going. But to your point, yeah, I mean, it's a big investment. And that's why when you look at things like honey and you're like 6 barrels, that's kind of in that. Even VDN, our VDNs were 8 barrels. And I'm like, that's in that weird gray area. Like, what do you do with 8? So what we had to do was increase our quantity of VDN, fast track getting 25 more barrels filled, which to your point ties up a lot of cash flow. I mean, it's just expensive and it's got to sit for a while, and then the glass and everything. So, we're really starting to come to a better kind of clean narrative on like, what's our product release schedule? Let's try to stay true to it. Like, how many batches of barrel strength are we going to do next year? And things like that. I think that just comes with time. I think every year that goes by, we start to get a little bit of a better idea of how maybe to manage it. But there's always that. I'm just going to flip a coin and see if it works.
I think one of the main takeaways then is those bees need to start working the overtime.
Yeah. We're going to have to increase the bee capacity significantly.
I mean, I think the solution is just send it on a seal box, and there you go.
I knew you were going to say that.
There you go.
I like that idea.
I'll throw that plug out there.
Yeah, you got to get the plug.
So did you guys try these?
Like even like Mike said, the VDN project, we start. There's an initial investment where it's like you're crossing your fingers. Is this going to be a viable product? Is it good? And then we're just into the VDM, but we can tell that it's going to be good. So we have to kind of double down early, because if we wait to the end of the R&D project and then start the real batch, it's like you're looking at a year and a half then. So
and in the Garden State, we can't do distillery only releases. So it doesn't exist in New Jersey. So
Really?
there's no notion of that with our permit types in New Jersey.
Huh.
I mean, we could sell it illegally from the back of our car, but I don't know. That might be frowned upon.
Now.
Yeah, we could do something in the alley vibe next to our place, but no, you can't. There's no distillery. We don't even have a tasting room permit. In fact, I have to get on a call with New Jersey's ABC to be like, how do I, like, even if I have a true distillery that's operational and say it's even big, are you telling me I can't have a tasting room? So we're trying to figure a lot of that out. So that's also other things we're thinking about too. Like, is this the right spot for the business?
The logic of liquor laws, right?
I don't get it.
All right,
So
everyone.
did you guys try these 3?
Yeah.
Did you guys all mix? Somebody start with thoughts. What do you think, Jordan?
I'm going to eliminate the wheat being the predominant grain in this one. That one wasn't doing it for me. If I had to narrow down our path a little bit more as we're speed blending here, I'd say either a stronger corn presence, or I did like a stronger rye presence actually. But the stronger wheat, it was fine. It just didn't really grab me.
Yeah, I would agree with that actually. Surprisingly, I did like the stronger corn presence, but I don't know, that rye is just really good too.
Yeah, rye's good.
Yeah, so that's hard to beat.
Yeah.
What do you think, Eric? I feel like you might be a contrarian, possibly.
Well, we'll see. I didn't care. So out of the 3, the bottom would be the corn. I didn't like as much. Then the wheat. And the wheat was okay. By far, I like the rye the best out of 3 of them.
Yeah, I gotta say, I kind of felt like the corn forward was. I wrote down sharper, bolder, spicier. Then I found the wheat. It's a little more balanced, but it had a little something going on with it, like almost like a tannic note to it, I felt like. And then honestly, surprising to me, the rye heavy, I found that the most savory of the 3. And I'm thinking about like what's going to take a finish really well. And this one, I wrote down it was the easiest sipper of the 3 too. I felt like it was, of those 3, it didn't punch me maybe like some of the previous Breaking the Seals did. Instead, it's what Eric was talking about, kind of a different approach to it, an easier sipper, something that's going to go down and not hit those kind of sharper notes.
And what was that percentage breakdown of rye, corn and wheat, the high rye one you mentioned?
Did 50%, 25-25. So 2 parts, 1 part, 1 part.
And I'll tell you, I did a 75, 12 and a half, 12 and a half, and that rye still holds really well.
I would, cajole you to try. I don't see. So it was 20 mLs of the rye, 5 of the wheat, and 10 of the. Hold on, is that? I gotta look at my numbers again. Sorry. No, so it would have been 20 of the rye, 5 of the wheat, and 10 of the corn. And so far, that has kind of been my favorite. I don't know why. I know Eric kind of liked that wheat, but to me, it was a little more aggressive. So I wanted to. I don't want to say cover it up. I wanted to blend it in.
It's an
more.
aggressive. That's an aggressive. I agree with you there, Blake. That's aggressive.
So that's a 2 parts corn,
Yep.
1 part wheat, 4 parts rye. I'm using the droppers here.
Yeah, that would be it.
And Blake, the volume. You got the big sample.
I know. Well, and then I'm dumping them into a glass, and so by the end of the night, this is probably going to be completely full because I have 3 blending glasses, a spit glass, and then a dump glass, or my drinking glass after we get off of this.
Just don't get them mixed up.
Yeah, by the end of it, it's all going to be the same.
You know, it's funny. We actually have an infinity barrel at our spot, so we always have all these samples. Like, it's a lot of barrel samples, and it just goes into an infinity barrel.
So I've thought about doing that and call it my media barrel, and just all media samples after I drink them and everything. Just start putting them in there, and because I'm redoing a room in my office, and so I had to clean out a bunch of stuff. I'm like, I have so many samples that I tried them. They were great, but I'm never going to go back to them. So I think that's a great idea. So now
Bring to New Jersey, we'll put them in our barrel.
Is that 53 gallons even?
Yeah, 53 gallons. And it's actually, we picked the barrel. It's a 49% barley malt bourbon barrel that's aged 8 years. But this has got everything. It's got toasted barrel, anything we have so many samples from barrels that we pulled, and just I think we have 3, and it's just every couple weeks we'll take boxes of 2 4-ounce 750 ml samples and just dump it in there.
Now, are you guys tasting it as you go?
No,
I haven't. I don't want to.
we'll just wait.
Rousing endorsement by Danny. Good.
Yeah. No, we don't. I have no idea what it will taste like. I mean, it could be used to clean the floors for all I know. But so we'll see. But who knows? It's kind of fun. Just have something.
I was gonna say, it sounds pretty funky. Seelbach will take it as a prize.
I actually had a call with a compliance person today, and I mentioned that, and she's just like, not sure what to do with that.
Yeah,
That's not in the manual. I'm sorry.
that's funky.
Just call it the dregs. Like, this is this basically everything that was left.
Because usually they're reported as losses. So it's like,
No, we
bring
don't.
it back.
It might be a loss, but we won't know maybe for another 2 years.
That's what we were saying.
So wait, do I have this right? It was 4. Just do it in the pipette. 4 mLs of rye, 2 of corn, 1 of wheat. Did I do that right?
Correct.
Yep, that's right.
So I thought that was good. I'd almost maybe increase the rye just slightly more, and maybe even decrease the wheat a little bit.
Ooh.
So I wanted to do like a 2.5 instead of a 5, but it's pretty tough to do it in this. so I guess I got my pipette here. I could do that. So you're saying going like
maybe like 5 rye, 1 corn, half a wheat.
Right.
Going even heavier on rye. See, I feel like comparatively to the last one where it was 2 parts rye, 1 part wheat, 1 part corn, this one's gotten maybe as far away from that kind of like, I guess, the spicy punch as I would want to get. I don't know that I want to get any farther away from that.
I'm thinking what's going good with the toasted barrel too.
Yeah, we actually just released, Danny. We did the private select for Texas, and it was like, what was it, a 90% rye?
Yeah, it was 91% rye.
Wow.
And I think that rye was in the same lot as these barrels we're using now.
And so, are you thinking with this blend, Blake? You're behind this blend. Are you thinking you would want that in the low char heavy toast, or the higher char?
To me, I think you go low char heavy toast, especially because to me this drink's spicier. I get good black pepper notes. I get a little bit of that leather on the finish. There's definitely baking spice, all that. I think that lends better to a more of a heavy toast, low char. Pull out a lot of those wood sugars, vanilla, caramel, all that good stuff. So that's just my thinking, but it's also, I am the amateur here, so I've played around a little bit with some of these barrels, but I don't know, Danny, what do you think?
Like I said, it's gonna round out those jagged edges. So if there's like something that's coming out too much, it's gonna just round it out. Sorry, I'm reading now.
Thanks, Tyler. We appreciate it, man.
It's just gonna round it out. So it's like you just gotta kind of pick what you like. If there's something that's standing out, if it's too hot, if it's too spicy, try to like see through that a little more if that's not what you're going for, because that's gonna really like get a little bit muted in these barrels.
And the other thing too that I thought was, I'm just thinking about this as we're doing it. I mean, I do think the corn and wheat could probably bode really well in a char 5 medium. Just get a lot of intensity. It's a shorter finish, but it will, the way that char 5 will interact with some of those sweeter profiles you'll get some of that. You'll start getting like dark chocolate, toffee, tobacco notes. Mm-hmm. And I think what's really interesting about it's going to smooth out the edges. For sure, assuming, keep it in there for 45 days ish, maybe 50.
So that I went a little bit heavier on that rye, like I said, and that was just okay. I'm not sure if that was actually any better than what Blake had come up with.
What I'm hearing is the crown may be shifting.
No, I think it needs a little bit more, but I don't think.
So here's my thing: is
I think it doesn't. It
is a very good blend. I don't think it. I like it because I feel like I taste it and it's open ended to what could happen in a finishing barrel as well, and to be able to try those side by side, I think is what's exciting. So how many cases do you think we'll get from the initial unfinished run?
What was the sorry, I got a fly right there.
What
was the blend percentage you guys?
It depends on the blend.
So I think as we narrow it down, what I'd love to do is, and the way we've done this in the past, I'm not sure if you do it, Blake, we find an area that's good and then we start tweaking. So like this is the path we want to go, and now like how can we tweak to make it better if we can make it better? Does that make sense?
I just find wherever I'm the winner, and that's the path I go down. I'm just kidding. Let's tweak it. Yeah, so if we did, let's see, how could we do that? So that was 4 parts rye, 10 parts wheat, and then, or no, excuse me,
4 to
5
2 to
parts
1.
wheat, and then 10
4
parts.
parts rye, 1 part wheat, 2 parts corn.
Yeah.
So the rye is definitely I'd call it, I guess, the smoothest, most savory element to this. As we add more rye, we're bringing the bolder spice notes down.
Yeah.
I feel like the bolder spice notes are coming from the other two.
Which is surprising that they're coming from the corn, but they really do. Yeah, like, I guess that's just the barrel. So maybe we amp up the corn a little bit with the rye. What if we went... Okay, Eric's shaking his head. He doesn't like that idea.
I was like, no.
I'm down for anything.
What if you amp up both the rye and the corn a little bit? So then that kind of takes down the wheat.
So you just decrease the wheat, basically.
Yeah, but Jordan, you said you didn't love.
Well, when
the-
I did,
just the rye.
I amped up the rye and I decreased everything else equally, right? So maybe
Yeah.
we don't. Maybe we amp up maybe all we do is we keep everything the same and we just decrease the wheat and we see if we like
Yeah.
that better, right? Because that's, it's still keeping rye high, but we're just getting rid of some of that wheat. Or we do the opposite and we try getting rid of the corn a little bit.
And
see what
honestly,
one does
look, if
better.
you're not digging the wheat, just scrap the wheat altogether.
That's not,
Yeah.
I don't think we're not digging it. It's
Yeah,
just-
I don't. I think the
Well, I
wheat.
meant
adds
that just
something.
more
It's
like
just
in terms
like
of the blend.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
I do think the wheat adds something. I just think it. I don't know. I think it adds a good spice level. It adds some interesting notes, but it's more like it's that occasional. What's the the drum where the band's playing and then they just hit
The
the
symbol.
cymbal. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I mean-
just a cymbal in the band.
The rye.
It's a modifier. You just need a little bit to go a long way.
We're
That's
talking
it.
about
It's
the
just a-
ride symbol, right? The one that's like ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's all this is.
Not the snare drum. I used to play the snare drum when I was in elementary school. That was my parents. They went out. They got me the snare drum. I was like all big on it. I think I played it like,
Mr. Van Wagning.
yeah, that's right. Snare drum.
Stick around for the after, and I'll bust out some.
Uh-oh.
Over there.
Oh, nice.
Man, that's
I'm sure the family loves when you play the drums at
Yeah,
10
at
o'clock at night.
10:30, that would be great.
after blending bourbon for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yep, this is
So I actually feel like I feel like pulling the wheat down, but actually trying pulling the corn up a little bit and seeing what that, because I think that corn barrel, I like that corn barrel. I think it's got something there that, especially too, if we're gonna finish it and we're gonna round out those spicy notes. I think we may want to go in a little hotter than we would want to come out. If what's gonna happen is we're gonna pull it down from the finishing.
so. I actually, I
you know how the corn has like a spice to it that's not traditional, but there's something behind it that really always stuck out for me. I don't know. It's like I don't know what it is.
So I'm at close to it'd be 30 mLs of the rye, 15 of the corn, and 5 of the wheat, and that's pretty. So it amped up both.
Say
the
that again.
rye,
30, 25.
No, 30, 15, and 5.
So that's 3 parts corn,
Yeah, 3, 1.5.
1 part wheat,
1.5.
6 parts rye.
1.5 corn, 5 part. Or hold on, what'd you say again?
It's 3 parts corn, 1 part wheat, and 6 parts rye.
Yeah. And that kind of amps up that corn a little bit, and kind of tames down the wheat.
And I just put the mash bill in the chat. That's 80% corn, 13% rye, 15% or 5% wheat, and 3% malted barley.
Although now I feel like I've thrown out a lot of suggestions on the blending, so I want to hear from everybody.
Well, I think that's why
Blake
it's
is just covering his bases. He's like, I came up with that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that
So
was like my first one.
I think if we're gonna do this right, as a group, it's good to just get the area, like I said, and then just start modifying from there. So I think we all agree. Well, maybe we don't. So I think we need to talk about that. But I do think the majority of us are leaning towards more rye than anything else, right? So we'll start there. And then what do you want to modify down? How much corn or how much wheat do you want to modify down? That's all.
I'm trying Blake's here. And Eric, what do you think so far? You've been the quietest. Where are you with the direction?
Is that a
I'm
surprise?
trying the latest one where was it the 316?
Yep.
And it's pretty good. I don't know if it's quite there. I do see it probably taking the toast finish really well. So I think we're moving in a good direction with that.
I'm just thinking about people following at home and they're like just trying to
Random
run their own
numbers,
thing.
yeah.
You should just do in honor of your hometown, Syracuse, New York. Just do a 315 blend.
There you go.
There you go. Oh, that's the next one. Here we go,
3%.
Mike.
You go 3%. You got
There
3
you go.
parts corn, 1 part wheat, 5 part rye.
We could call it the big
315.
orange, the big
The
orange blend.
315.
Ooh,
Yeah,
What's that, Blake?
the big orange
big
blend.
Oh,
Big
there it
orange
is.
blend.
We need like an orange liqueur barrel to finish in or something.
Yeah, shout out to Syracuse.
It is part 3, so 315. I like that's got a ring to it.
315. The area code blend.
And then we'll. Never mind.
What were you thinking? Jacksonville after that?
Nobody wants the 904 blend.
904, but actually, I didn't know what the area code was, so I needed to hand on that one. No one knows mine either. 732. So
I just thought you knew all the area codes. And you were just like spinning them up, like oh, Syracuse.
Yeah.
It's a hobby.
yeah, kind of into area codes, no big deal. Oh, you guys are
There's a
into that
Facebook
too?
page for that, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, try it.
Get after it. What do you got, Danny?
Sold.
Give it a shot.
I like it.
What,
I think we
315?
were
Are
close.
you like the 315 blend or?
I do. I do. I think we were close. I mean, I honestly
think we
think
are
I had
close.
hem and haw as we were 316, 214.
Yeah.
It's more of just you want more
Well,
space or not.
Yeah,
I do know 214 is Dallas.
We're not doing that.
Hey,
I
the
think,
best thing that's come out of this live tasting is that Mike is a savant with area
for area
codes.
yeah.
So that's that.
503.
We did. I think we do have the formula is definitely down there, right? So it's definitely more rye, then corn, then wheat. 100%. I think it's just a little bit of wheat. I think unless
Like a
Eric,
one.
you have a strong case, like it's
No.
just
I
a little bit of
still
wheat.
like the wheat on its own, but it's not it's not making magic here.
Yep.
Is what I keep finding. And I tried to do just a rye and wheat blend by itself too, with no corn, and that's not the answer. So
And sometimes too, this is speed blending. So normally we would let these sit overnight, give them 24 hours to mingle. So there is, we'll let them sit, but there is in this new era of speed blending, there's a bit of what's going to happen next a little bit, which
It's a competitive world, the speed blending world. Let me tell you.
is what it
instant
is.
gratification,
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
look at the core of what you're getting out of it, and then that gets like amplified, and then how like a fresh barrel sample is just kind of a little hot, right? That dies down.
Mhm.
The 315 has a nice nose too.
Love a good nose.
Well, you're from Syracuse though.
Yeah, I feel like
That rolls
I feel
off the tongue nice and easy.
I live here. I'm not from here, so
Oh, okay. Yeah. Where are you from
no
originally?
skin off my back.
Where are you from originally?
The three of us are all from Rochester.
Oh, okay. Yeah. 585.
Originally,
Wow. 1716.
Somebody
Wow.
fact check him. Somebody.
Wow.
I'm serious. They'll fact check.
he's actually
You're
Mike
right.
is correct.
Yep.
I'll tell you what. I'm in Pittsburgh. Do you know Pittsburgh, Mike? Because if you do, you're officially like hiding your hidden skill set.
41415.
Ooh, close.
Hold on.
412.
412. You were
He's
close.
throwing
Wow.
off incorrect just so he doesn't.
I know.
doesn't,
Just
He's probably called every liquor store in every area.
I definitely have.
See, I'm blending up this 315 blend.
It's all Chester blend. We can call the garbage plate.
There you go.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I'll get started with that.
that's the 585.
I do like the nose on that last one.
This is that's a nice.
315 is
It's actually not that bad.
There's
good nose.
already the vanillas and caramels. I feel like combined, I'm getting more vanilla and caramel than I got from any one of them individually. It's coming out in the blend. When you guys were talking about low char, heavy toast, you talked about you would add butterscotch vanilla to what would be ideally a bolder blend, which would balance it out. You talked about the higher char. That would give you darker notes, tobacco notes, chocolate notes. So the question is, do you want to amplify vanilla and butterscotch, or do you want to add tobacco and chocolate to I think we're in the right direction. I don't think we're moving too far from the direction we're in now. It's just maybe tweaks, but just thinking about of those two options, do you guys have ideas of whether you'd go low char, heavy toast or higher char on it?
What do you think?
I think I would. Wow. Low char, heavy toast, high char, low toast.
So I think you could amp up, and I, if you know my palate, I'm always going to amp up the sweetness and kind of those toffee notes and all of that. So maybe this isn't the general consensus, but I think you can amp that up. Like, you're already getting a little bit of them on the nose for sure. I think once we kind of revisit this blend, we'll notice more of the spicy notes. And I think that heavy toast would amplify all of what's on the nose. And then, I think that would be fantastic. I like 315 heavy toast.
I think
I'm with Blake on that.
Yeah, I am too. I think it's a heavy char might be a little bit too much, actually.
Heavily toasted in Syracuse. Can that be the name of the blend?
It's
1 week out of the year, and then it snows.
That's
1 week.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that, Blake. I think this is more of a heavy toast versus a heavy char. I think the char will just push over the edge a little bit too much, but the toast is going to enhance it in a very nice, subtle way. I think it's actually going to round out the finish really well, too.
It's funny, but I almost think about this with like wine pairings with food. Like, what are you trying to accomplish here? Are we trying to amplify what we're eating with what we drink? Are we trying to, give contrast and some balance? And to me, this is more about amplifying than adding contrast and balance. So, I think
I agree with that too. I think we're all on the same page. I think it's moved in that direction. I think there's room for it to go further in that direction, and there's certainly a little bit of room to smooth it out a little bit. But it's definitely just doing the blend. It gravitated towards those flavors. So I feel like moving that direction further is already where it wants to be, versus if we pull it back, it's kind of I guess to some extent, I'm a little unsure what's going to happen if we say, let's contrast it. That could turn out to be a little bit more of a monster by comparison.
Yeah.
And what would the yield be?
Bad, I say we blame Eric for being from Syracuse. And
that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm like,
probably around the same as part two, right? Maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, it'd probably be about 70 cases.
So we could test two. Like, we could take the blend and we could put some in maybe a char 1 heavy, some into a char 2 heavy. You'll get some nuance, but it won't gravitate too far. You could put them both in.
Very Hollywood, the ending of a trilogy, just break it up into 2 parts. There you go.
What's that from Wayne's World? Like now the Scooby-Doo ending. Oh, you didn't like that? Well, here's the real ending. So that's
honestly, I kind of like. I almost feel like I kind of like going the direction of that lower char heavy toast, and then maybe thinking about the multi finishing for part 4. Let's take that one step almost. Let's amplify what we have, and then part 4, think about bringing them all together. I mean, I'm open to it.
If we can twist your guy's arm into a finishing barrel for part 4, I think that would really be the twist.
Well, that's a good question. So, we're talking about a blend and then a finish. And are we going to call it 3A and 3B? Or, I mean, I think it's all the same blend. So it'd be like a 3A and 3B, right?
It's how far we could stretch it out. I think if you're with using that little amount of wheat, there's a couple options. You could stretch it from a toasted perspective. You could stretch it across 2 different toast levels, but then we could use it. I mean, we'd have to probably start from scratch with new blends to do something further than that, just because of the amount of barrels that we're working with. I think there's just 3. There's a wheat barrel, a corn barrel. So these are all 3 single barrels.
65 cases.
Yeah, so it's like part 2. I mean, that was what, 57, 60, something.
Well,
like that.
What if we So we amped up the corn a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't, and I hate it, but I don't want to amp up the wheat much more than what it already is right now.
Yeah, I agree. I like the direction it moved as we reduced wheat.
Danny, you did see that email I got from Speyside? It's just like the subject header was exotic barrels. I'm not even kidding you. And it's like a checklist. And I'm like, I got to fill that out tonight, by the way.
Yeah,
we are now intrigued for breaking
There was an
the Seel
apricot
Part
brandy
4.
from Cyprus that I really wanted.
Yeah,
Ooh.
they send that to Mike, and he's just like, "We'll take it all."
Yeah. That's the problem. Like I go to the grocery store.
His auto reply is yes.
Yeah. My out of office just says, if this is from Rob, it's just yes. Yeah, I do need to get back to him actually. But
So
yeah,
I mean,
so I don't know. The only thing with having the blend stretching it out to 3 is, we don't really have. We're not set up from a like. I think we'll probably
we should just
have
stick
a
with one
part
pick.
3.
Yeah.
Like it'll take a little while. Like we're actually working on labels right now. We're trying to like basically kind of not like an experimental series. But just have a templated label that if things that we're doing for 1 to 2 barrels that we can quickly kind of repeat and rinse just so that we can get the cola and change out a few things, but we're not going through tooling changes on the label. And what we're doing is if we do like kind of green light it, meaning it goes from like 2 barrels to maybe a limited release, that's when we'll kind of look to see it as a label as a whole. Like, do we change it? Do we go to etched glass? But I think that might be a little tricky just because I don't even know. Do we even have one? Thanks, Donnie. I don't know if we have, we have a couple finishes that we're working on right now, but nothing like open, do we? We haven't gotten anything in our facility, Danny, right?
No, we'd have to order it.
We'd have to order it. I mean, what we could do is we could just look at this exotic barrel list together and be like,
I mean, I think
it could be kind of fun too. Just do it as a group.
Save that for something
Part 4?
different. Yeah, I mean,
Let's do this part 3. This is just an evolution. We're literally just doing evolution.
And the other thing is too, a lot of this blend was kind of created with a toasted finish in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So when you put in like an apricot brandy barrel,
it's a whole
different ball game. Like it could be completely different. And we may go down the path like, let's go like, maybe we need like something really spicy on this one, or, who knows? I'm not too sure, but I think it's kind of that evolution is pretty cool. But I think going with this, I think what's cool about the Char 1 and Char 2 is these are going to kind of put off similar profiles, and they're really great. I mean, these are just that what Danny was saying. You're going to get that vanilla butterscotch kind of flavor profiles. It's going to round out those edges and really just make it kind of just amplify what already you've blended together. So, and I think what is cool is seeing those nuances, because we've done a lot of Char 1, Char 2 heavies and mediums for that matter. And also Char 5s, and you'll see that they're gonna get their own personality, especially when it goes to 60 days plus, for sure.
Now, how often do you sample as they're finishing?
Once a week.
Process.
About once a week. The thing is too, it's actually like you need someone. I mean, it's actually like we used to have Jace in our facility doing it, but he's busy on the production line and pulling samples. Like all of a sudden I'm like, man, I got to learn how to use the drill.
Well, pulling samples, it's
I was like, can someone help me with these? I'm not like,
it's literally somebody for the whole day.
It's someone all day pulling all the barrel samples.
And it's like Friday night delivery. I get a box of like.
Because what we're doing now is we're doing a lot of batch releases of them. So we'll pick like 5 really good Char 5 medium toasts that we really love, these Char 5s. And then we'll have to pick the right one, similar to what we're doing now, but kind of using these. And we're really digging these batch releases quite a bit. They're good.
I just like to say I love to see the spreadsheet that tracks all of this.
Don't even get me started, dude. Don't even get me. It's crazy. Every day I'll do a new one. I'm like, you know what? This one doesn't work. All these color codes. I'm like, this is crazy.
Michael's like, where's barrel 605? I reserved it. And I'm like, oh shit, we dumped it.
Yeah. Fortunately we use whiskey systems. that's been helpful. That's like, that kind of like you have to be organized because that's all of our TTB reporting. So it knows what you dump. I mean, it's got everything there. So we just started using that as kind of our that's the bottom, like that's the truth. So whatever in whiskey system is what happens. If it's in some Google spreadsheet I created in June with like all these different colors, cell color, it's just like, that doesn't matter. It's all about the whiskey systems. But even when I put it in there, I still lose barrels. That's all right.
Well, I'm excited about this.
I think this will be really good.
I feel like we found a great direction with the blend in terms of those, like the vanillas, the caramels, kind of that very, really like crowd pleasing. I feel like people always love those sweeter, kind of easier drinking, a little bit of tobacco on the back end. And then if we're going to amplify that and take it even further, I think it's going to be a crowd pleaser across the board. I'm excited to see, what happens with it.
I think this is going to be around 118 proof, probably.
Which I believe that's the highest, right?
I think the first one we did was 118.2.
Well, that rye bourbon, that rye barrel was like 100.
Right. Yep.
The rye barrel was like 121 proof.
Which is rare for us because the barrel entry is supposed to be 120.
Really rare.
Yeah.
Yeah, 118.2 and then 116.5. Those were the two so far. So it's still in a similar range.
It's in that wheelhouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave a blend overnight. This thing's gonna, oh man, it's gonna be delicious.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I would say it's a significant improvement on each of the individual barrels.
Yeah, 100%.
Maybe the most of the three blends so far.
Well, and also what's cool is this is also like this for us. It kind of foreshadows what's happening to our barrels too. So when we started this company, I mean, we were, when we first started it, we went to market with a 2-year 80 proof, and we thought we were the coolest guys in high school. But what we kind of knew all along is we needed to start there. We knew it was going to be a slow and steady. It's a marathon, and so we've been, our inventory has been accruing on the back end. And so, what we're excited about next year is every one of our barrels for, all of our our barrel strength, our specialty stuff, that's a minimum 5 years, which for us is old. That's for some folks, that's like still nothing, but, so it's nice. And that's, some of the about 5, 6, 7 years old, and we have pretty good inventory on that age range. And then, 2023, it's minimum 6 years. So this is cool for us because it does kind of give us some insights into maybe what we're going to be, working with for next year.
Yeah.
I thought these were good examples of like barrels that there was something in them that was noticeable or like that was highlighted, but in general, not necessarily like, the full picture. And then just seeing what it can do when you put them together is exactly what you guys did with them. So it's great.
Yeah, I agree, Danny. I think even more pronounced than the other two as well. It was fun, guys.
Yeah, this is really fun.
Exciting, always. Yeah.
This is,
put down the Syracuse barrel and
yeah, you're shipping the whole thing to Syracuse, right? That's I got room in my garage.
there you go. Right next to the rock.
Is it Breaking the Seal Part 3 or is it
3?
Part 3 ... 15.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Part 3 ... 15.
I like that.
Too bad.
I like that. So this was really fun. We really appreciate you all taking the time to blend with the four of us. I think it's been a much different process than the first two. I think we did some speed blending, which was really good, and I think we narrowed down just as good an option as if we took a few hours ourselves and came back together, right? We did this really quick. It was really good. We have some really good palates here and some good opinions, and I'm super excited to see how the barrel char and toast and just that extra time and more wood really rounds out this bourbon. I think it's going to be a delight once it's completely done. So Danny, Mike, thank you. Really, really appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. And I think part 4 is going to be even better. I think we keep building. So every time we think we can't do better, I think it just keeps getting better and better. So this is exciting. It's a good journey the 6 of us are on.
It's been awesome.
And so before we wrap up, Danny, Mike, do you guys just want to remind folks at home, Penelope Bourbon, what you have going on and anything they should be looking out for in the market?
Danny, want to take it home?
I started it before you got here, so you can.
I just had a kid, man. Cut me some slack.
I was going to say, can I get a
No, you can find us at PenelopeBourbon.com. And we're excited to work on this project. Like, Jordan, like you said, it's been fun, man. This has been just a cool progression, and just seeing what I mean, honestly, the first blend was tremendously different than part 2. And I know this part 3.15 is going to be a lot different. So it's been a lot of fun, and we appreciate it. Danny, anything else?
Jordan's muted.
Jordan's muted.
Jordan muted.
I hear I'm muted. And Blake, you want to give a shout out and just let people know what Seelbach is about? I know you make sure everyone's getting their bourbon at home, so this is very important.
I'll try to, but no, I just want to tell Mike, Danny, thank you. I think a lot of people watching this, you probably don't realize, like, there aren't many brands out there that, these guys are, 2 days and a couple weeks off of having newborn kids, and they come on and blend with us, let us have fun, talk, and really enjoy it. So, can't thank you guys enough. I mean, this is an incredible project that we're on the third release of. So, a lot of fun, and just thank you guys for having me and breaking the breaking trio. It's always fun to blend with y'all. We'll call this, a group win. So it feels kind of cool to win, but no, this has been fun. So really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Blake.
Thanks, guys.
Eric, you want to just remind folks at home about what Breaking Bourbon is?
Sure. We are a bourbon website, #1 bourbon website. We do new updates every day, every weekday, new reviews, a release calendar of all the new releases coming up, which is really important because we're hitting the fall here and there's new releases almost every week now. So take a look at our calendar and what's coming out there. And then follow us on all our socials. We kind of have a lot of fun and a lot of discussions on there. So, and check that out. And thanks for watching the show.
Awesome.
Yeah,
This
next
is
time
really
there's
fun.
going to be a pop quiz on area code. So
Study up.
Study up.
Study up.
I'm not going against Mike. I can tell you
Yeah,
that.
we know who's gonna win that.
Oh man. Well, this has been really fun. We're going to end the broadcast, but again, everyone at home who watched along this whole time, cheers. Make sure you go to the Breaking Bourbon Single Barrel Club or the Bourbonr Pro Club to make sure you sign up and get your bottles, and Seelbach will be delivering some tasty things your way soon. So cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Good night.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.